BLEACH Rebirth of Souls is, at first glance, the very type of game that so many anime fans groan at. A popular property getting a video game adaptation that's a fighter. Not just a fighter, an arena fighter. That has practically become a stereotype at this point, thanks in no small part to Namco Bandai, who holds the licenses to several popular shonen anime properties. These arena fighter adaptations of anime are notorious with their fans, owing to their obvious low budgets and lack of appeal for anyone beyond pre-existing fans of the property. In a lot of ways, they recall tie-in and licensed games of yore. You know, when you get a game adaptation to go along with a big-budget movie release.
Show me what you've got. Well, strike back. Close one. I didn't feel that.
Strike back! I swear I will not falter. I have to make it through this. Dance!
Even back in the era of low-effort tie-in, every now and then, however, you'd get the odd licensed game that at least attempted to go above and beyond and be a compelling game and product on its own merits that could feasibly appeal to players who weren't already fans of the property that the game was based on to begin with. BLEACH Rebirth of Souls is the lineage of those titles. While it is still an arena fighter based on one of the most recognizable anime of all time, it isn't merely coasting on the built-in fan base and audience that BLEACH has, and is trying, operative word here, trying, to be a robust and full-featured, well-playing game in its own right. Credit has to be given to developers Tamsoft here. It would be far too simple to get away with a straightforward arena fighter and call it a day. However, they have fleshed out the combat system in the game to where it is genuinely, legitimately compelling and fun enough to play that even someone who isn't interested in BLEACH, or even anime, would probably enjoy playing it merely as a fighting game, with no knowledge of the source material at all. That combat system draws a lot of inspiration from other games, with a frenetic, dynamic pace of combat mixing basic light and heavy attacks that can be strung into quick and effective combos, and a lot of kinetic movement and positioning, signature finishing moves that are a great source for fan-pleasing references to the source material, and a stock system that, by keeping the amount of lives your attacks take from your opponent on each knockout variable, keeps fighting thrilling and engaging. Legitimately, BLEACH Rebirth of Souls is a fun fighting game. Almost every single fight I had felt like one where I had to fight to claim the win. And there are enough special moves, counters, and abilities that all characters have on them at any given time that even an early hefty lead does not guarantee victory, and letting your guard down for even a little bit can give opponents the opening that they need to stage a comeback. If you're a fan of arena fighters, BLEACH Rebirth of Souls can lay claim to being one of the best around, very much in the same vein as last year's similarly good Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Rebirth of Souls also has a sizable roster of characters, and while I haven't gone hands-on with every single of the literal dozens of characters the title boasts, the ones that I have played all play differently, while still feeling viable enough to hold their own against pretty much any character that they're matched up with. There have definitely been some matchups I found harder than expected, but what has convinced me of this game's mechanical soundness has been that, unlike so many other games of this ilk, it has almost always been simply a matter of getting used to the opponent's move and speed, getting a read on them, and then adjusting my own attacks accordingly to clinch that victory. This is truly a really engaging fighter that fans and non-fans alike can dig their teeth into, the former to recreate some of their favorite fights themselves, and the latter simply because of how mechanically engaging and dense this game is. Fans are, paradoxically enough, likely to be the group that finds the most to complain about in this release. For as great as the combat and fighting in this game are, the story mode is shockingly subpar and really stands in sharp contrast to how much attention and care the rest of the game seems to have gotten. As mentioned previously, it tries to follow the story of BLEACH, at least through the Arankar arc, in a visual novel format, interspersed with fights, and it is not good. The entire affair feels extremely low budget, with barely animated character models yammering away for what feels like interminable lengths of time, against sparse backdrops and voice acting that can feel weirdly poor and disconnected.
You mean there's a hollow around here right now? Don't stand there yapping, then go vaporize it!
Actually, I haven't been able to sense its presence for some time now.
Why not?
While credit has been given to Namco for actually bothering with an English dub for the game, again, a lot of these releases forego a dub entirely, the voice direction is not great, and the voice acting can feel grating at times. There are exceptions, and shout out to Johnny Young Bosch as Ichigo, obviously, but other than that, the English voices can often feel lacking. Of course, a lot of fans will choose to play with Japanese voicing to begin with, in which case the voice work doesn't feel as subpar, but all the other criticisms for the storytelling still apply. The reason why I'm hard on the story mode is that in the past, I have often found anime game adaptations to be gateways into the anime itself. Long before I ever even watched Dragon Ball, I was fully familiar with the characters, world, story, iconography, and more because of how many games adapted the story extremely well. And shout out to the amazing Legacy of Goku games on the GBA. In other words, I truly believe that these story modes can often act as a great primer for the source material, bringing potential new fans on board. But the story mode needs to be high effort for that. Both the story and the storytelling needs to feel consequential enough that you're invested in what is going on and where it's going. Fans are obviously going to care because it's a story that they already love. The missed chance here is the story mode not being good enough to make the story of Bleach, which is obviously engaging and captivating enough to have created a whole generation of fans, seem good enough. So yes, you're not going to get new fans of Bleach being made because of this game. What you might get are fans of this game itself. While the story mode is truly a missed opportunity, the actual fighting and combat are so well done that this is very much a game worth playing even if you have no interest in the source material, as long as you like fighting games in any case. The shortcomings and cut corners are obvious, and it's easy to decry what this game is not. If only it wasn't another arena fighter. If only the story mode wasn't done so poorly. However, doing that also potentially misses attributing the credit to this game that it obviously deserves in so many areas. BLEACH Rebirth of Souls is still a very flawed game, much like most other anime adaptations are, but its highs are much higher, and that gives me hope for a potential follow-up down the line that truly does justice to this property, and gives it the adaptation that it deserves. Hopefully it will be good, and the obviously talented folks at Tamsoft who will bring it to us. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.